Okay, in this video we're discussing the 2.2 practice, which goes with our 1.5 Envision Geometry worksheet, additional practice on conditional statements. They want us to identify the hypothesis and conclusion of each conditional statement. So we'll single underline the hypothesis and we'll double underline the conclusion. Generally, the hypothesis starts with an if, and the conclusion starts with a then. So let's see, a number is divisible by 2 is the hypothesis. The conclusion, the number is even. That doesn't ask us whether this we should evaluate this or not. It just wants us to identify. Okay, let's look at the next one. If sidewalks are wet is the hypothesis. The conclusion, it has been raining. The dog will bark if a stranger walks by the house. If a stranger walks by the house is the hypothesis, and the conclusion, the dog will bark. Notice that in this case, the then is kind of like implied. It's not actually written, but the idea is there. Okay, if a triangle has 3 congruent angles, so triangle has 3 congruent angles is the hypothesis. The conclusion, triangle is equilateral. Let's move on. Write each sentence as a conditional. A regular pentagon has exactly 5 congruent sides. So we could say if a pentagon is regular, the definition of regular means all congruent sides, then it has 5 congruent sides. So if a polygon is regular, then it has 5 congruent sides. All uranium is radioactive. If a substance is uranium, notice I had reworded a little bit. Then it is radioactive. Two complementary angles form a right angle. So if 2 angles are complementary, then they form a right angle. Let's look at the next one. A catfish is a fish that has no scales. So if a fish is a catfish, then it has no scales. If a fish is a catfish, then it has no scales. Okay, now let's look at these Venn diagrams. With Venn diagrams, you can, if you have them set up correctly, you can answer like always, sometimes, never type questions. So let's write a conditional statement that each Venn diagram represents. So if you kind of look at the outside circle, this is like if a language is Italian. This is the more general outside one. The specific one's inside. So if a language is Italian, then it's a Romance language. It's inside the Romance languages, so Italian is a Romance language. So if a language is Italian, then it is a Romance language. Let's look at the next one. Rhombuses are parallelograms that have all congruent sides. A square is a parallelogram that has all congruent sides and also has a right angle, which also makes it a rectangle. So if a polygon is a square, then it is a rhombus. So the inside one is more specific than the outside one. The inside one pretty much fits with the if. The outside one is the then. It's like part of a group. If a polygon is a square, then it is a rhombus. Okay, let's look up. Now we want to determine if these conditionals are true or false. We could do a truth table, but basically we look for a counterexample where the if part is true, yet the then part doesn't necessarily have to be true. So if a figure has 4 congruent angles, then the figure is a square. Now it doesn't say that it's a 4-sided figure, so I'm thinking, can I draw something with 4 right angles? 2, and it doesn't say, let's see, here's 3, here's 4. So I got 4 right angles, 4 congruent angles. So I made these 4 congruent right angles. And why couldn't I do this? Here are 4 more congruent possibly angles. So we have a, see how many sides we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. This is a 16-gon, 16-sided polygon. There's a counterexample. So we could say that this is false because we can come up with a counterexample that has 4 right angles or 4 congruent angles. Possibly we could use these if we could make those equal. And there'd be an example that would shoot down it having to be a square. Okay, I guess seals do bark. If an animal barks, it is a seal. This is also false because we could think, well, what about a dog? A dog barks. And that knocks down the part where it has to be a seal. So, what if a dog barks? That would be our counterexample. That would cause that also to be false. Okay, thank you.